Call the meeting to order. Which would like to do the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Announcements. The Select Board will meet the following dates. A regular meeting at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May 26, 2009, and on June 8 at 2009. Work sessions prior to the regular meetings will start at 5 p.m. All the meetings will be held in Town Hall unless otherwise posted. Weather observations for the month of April are posted in the lobby at Town Hall. The U.S. Census Bureau employees will be visiting every house unit in every neighborhood between April and July of this year. They will wear official identification tags so that anybody has any questions about you can call the town administrator and make sure you've got an official census tag. Plymouth Memorial Day Parade will be held on Monday, May 25, beginning at 10:30 a.m. Lineup begins at 10 a.m. Town offices will be closed. I'd like to call for the approval of our work session minutes on the 27th. Does anyone have any comments on it? Motion?
I make a motion that the minutes for April 27th be approved.
Second. The motion has been made to approve the minutes of April 27th and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes, what about the regular minutes? Where is that?
Keep reading. It's right, same line.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, it's a work session now, the minutes for the regular meeting on the 27th of April. Do I have a motion for approval or comments?
I think we had a couple of additions. And the states, second page, I'm going to call that towns 20 instead of states 22.
Correction. Corrections have been made.
Corrections have been made. Got it. Okay. And then was there a second?
There's a second one on page 4. The decals have not yet been put in the merchant's windows. They will be put in merchant's windows.
Under comments. So page 4 under committee comments. Comment about Plymouth area merchants. The decals.
They will be put in the windows. They have not yet been placed. They're being printed.
The decals will be put instead of put in. Here will be put in. I move to approve the minutes with the additions.
Second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the board, regular board minutes. Is there any, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Any of the board members have anything to add to the agenda?
I'd just like to suggest that we move the thank you for services.
Flag presentation.
Yeah, to just after the appointments.
Any objections?
No.
Okay, so we'll do plaque presentations after the appointments, which we'll do now. Brian Tobin being appointed to Lieutenant, Fire Department Chief.
Well, as we talked a while ago, it's been a long process. Started off with an oral board, written exams. Candidates that shook up at the top was Brian Tobine, standing right here. He's been with us for quite a few years. I'll give you,
Brian.
yes. I'll give you just a brief background on him. He graduated from Plymouth High back in 1997. Joined the Campton Thornton Fire Department back in 1995. He was promoted to the rank of captain then in 1999 and is still holding that position in the Campton Thornton Fire Department. We hired him back in 2003 as a full-time firefighter, where Brian continually excels in his position. He's willing to learn. He's just never happy with his own work. He just wants to keep doing better and better. And that, to me, that's the proof of a real good employee. So now, with the board's permission, he's been holding this position as shift leader for the last 4 months, and he's proven himself time and time again to be making very good judgments and been a good asset to the town.
Any comments? I move that we appoint Brian Tobin as lieutenant of the fire department.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations,
At
Lieutenant.
this time, if I could, I'd like to have his wife come up.
Okay.
She wants to step up on me?
Congratulations. We also have the appointment of Ms. Susan Swope, reappointment to the Plymouth Conservation Commission. Is she here? No. Not being here, I'll hear a motion to the effect that we appoint Susan Swope to reappoint her to the Plymouth Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ms. Swope is appointed to the Conservation Commission. Mr. Stuart Crowell. Is he here? No. Reappointment to the Plymouth Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Crowell is reappointed to the Plymouth Conservation Commission. Now we're going to do the plaque presentations, the services of 4 people. We have 5 plaques. Is Dave Switzer here? Here. Would you like to come up?
Yes, I'm well, thank you.
We would like to present you, let me read the presentation, there's 2 of them. Presented to David Switzer in recognition for your dedicated service to the town of Plymouth while serving as a member of the Plymouth Planning Board from 1993 to 2008. Presented by the Board of Selectmen. As named. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
And we have another one.
Oh, all right.
Presented to David Switzer in grateful appreciation and recognition for 22 years of dedicated and extraordinary service to the town of Plymouth while serving on the Conservation Commission, term served from 1986 to 2008, presented by the Board of Selectmen. Congratulations. That's quite a term. Okay, we're going to take this off.
Both of you.
You got to hold this so we don't have all this
Right.
Oh, that's okay.
surplus material. Now, we want this to look good.
All right.
There, I just took your plaque away. Oh, that's your,
That's my sign.
take that with you.
Right, you can hold one.
Now that is beautiful. I'm sure we got it. Thank you, Jim.
All right.
Here's your plaque.
All right.
In case we call you back into service, we won't have
In case I forget who I am. Thanks a lot.
Bill Hull. Is Bill here? Bill? How are you?
Fine.
This plaque is presented to William Bill Hull in recognition for your dedicated service to the town of Plymouth while serving as a member of the Plymouth Planning Board from 1994 to 2009. Presented by the Board of Selectmen, April 2009. Congratulations. Is Ray Gosney here?
Yes, sir.
Step right up. This is presented to Ray Gosney in recognition for your dedicated service to the town of Plymouth while serving as a member of the Plymouth Planning Board. Term served 2002 to 2008, chair 2004 to 2008. Presented by the Board of Selectmen, April 2009. Congratulations. One more, Mr. Gould. I know he's here because I saw him earlier.
Thank you. Thank you.
This plaque is presented to Fred Gould in recognition for your dedicated service to the town of Plymouth while serving as a member of the Plymouth Planning Board, term 2006 to 2009, presented by the Board of Selectmen, April 2009.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, now we're going to have an update on the street paving project, Route 3 Main Street by Valerie Scarborough and Miriam Bader, the town planner. Valerie, you
Mr.
want-
Chairman, since Miriam has been the direct liaison with Pike Industries on this, I defer to her for this update.
Okay, I prepared a little handout to everyone. Paul, did you distribute this?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone get this? Okay. Just as an overview, what the project is that DOT will pay to partially pave Main Street in early June. And I also did a visual that they're basically going to start at where Pemmy Glasses, Junkyard Dogs, and pave the middle section 24 feet to Rite Aid Pharmacy. And then they're only going to do the middle section, and then the town's responsible for the 10 feet on the side where the parking area is. The town will get the asphalt at the same price as the state if they do it at the same time as the state, and that price has been quoted to us as $84 a ton for the asphalt. We have two options. We can pave Main Street at the same time that DOT plans to pave it, which is during a predetermined set schedule during the day. The estimated time to complete the projects is 1 to 3 days. They could cold plane in the morning and then pave in the afternoon. That's the best case scenario. And it's weather dependent, depending on weather, maybe it might take 3 days. And again, the price would be $84 a ton for the asphalt. Or the option that we looked at was paving at night. And most likely, only the town portion can be paved at night because DOT did not bid their job to pave at night. So they would have to resend that out as a bid. And the other disadvantages of that would be that paving could take twice as long because it would be two separate jobs. So the state job, they would do their 24 feet during the day, just in their consecutive order that they plan to do other towns. And then the town job would be the 10 feet at night. That could be done at night, but it would be at a different time, and we don't know what this time separation is. So it would interrupt traffic 2 times instead of just the 1 time. Oh, also another thing is all this information came from Jim Royal, who's with Pike Industries, who's actually going to be doing the paving. And he said that Main Street will not be closed. They'll do one side of Main Street, and they'll have 2-way traffic on the other side. And then they'll close that side and have 2-way traffic. So it's not going to be closed at any point to the traffic. The other disadvantage, if they did it 2 separate times, so the state comes and they do the center, and then we come back and do the sides, is there's something called a cold seam, which doesn't join up as well as if they did it all as one job. This price would cost $150 per ton, as opposed to $84 per ton. Plus, there would be cost for floodlights, because to do it at night, you need to install floodlights. There would be cost to pay the labor overtime. There would be cost to have the asphalt plant run overtime. And so the cost is projected to be at least 3 times what it would cost to pave during the day. There was, somebody talked to me about Littleton, and that Littleton paved at night, so I contacted Chuck Connell, who's Littleton's town manager, and he said they did consider it for a bit, but it was cost prohibitive, so they did not pursue doing it at night. I did talk to Jim Royal of Pike Industries and asked him if he knows of other towns when they've done it at night, and he said the only time that DOT has approved to do it at night is with interstate projects, like I-93, something that's the interstate. At that point, they do it at night, but not for projects of our scope.
Can you explain what, is it going to be reclaimed the entire street, or are we just doing the courthouse, from the Court Street to Anderson?
Yeah, it's from like where Pemmy Glass Junkyard Docks is to Rite Aid. That's the part where the DOT will go down the middle, and they just add, I think it's an inch of pavement. That's what their exact job is. Oh, it's a 1-inch overlay. So it's 209 tons of pavement. The part that's like Rand Hardware and the bakery, they're just doing the center part of that. And
Now, this is a part of a bigger project too, right?
Right.
This is the tail end, or the front end, depends on which end you're starting at.
Right,
From
so
the
when
town line of Plymouth, all the way up through, right?
Right. When I talked to Peck Industries, he said it's just in a series of projects. So that's why it's really hard to specify a certain time or date. He'll be in Plymouth when he's in Plymouth, whatever he finishes the other job. So it's just in a series of jobs, and it's a continuation of Highway 3.
And will it be, is it a top coat or the reclaiming to make it level with the crosswalks?
Well, I'm not in the highway business, so I don't pretend to do that. But my understanding is they do something called cold planing, and maybe Paul can understand. Explain a little bit better.
If they're reclaiming to make it level with the reclaiming down. Okay, and then is parking going to be?
So they remove a top coat and then they put a new coat on top, but it's not a full reclaiming.
Okay.
Full reclaimer would be going down 2.5 feet.
2.5. And the 10 feet, is that machinery or is that open for parking? Do we know what, it's the 10 feet of town road, that's parking now, right?
Yeah, that's parking now.
Would that be parking during their work? We don't know.
No, probably that's going to be closed down because we're just going to have the 2 lanes of traffic, so that there won't be parking during that. Maybe it's 1 day, maybe it's 3 days.
You won't be able to pass through, you won't be able to stop.
On either side.
So we provide two-way traffic by using the parking lane.
Right, that's how we provide the two-way traffic, by using the
And when
parking.
the job's finished, it'll be curb to curb.
Correct.
No, is there, for auxiliary parking, is there any provision for parking other than on Main Street, such as down behind the Lucky Dog or anything like that?
Mr. Chairman, you should defer that to the chief.
Yeah, we've talked to the chief.
The police chief is here.
Can we have?
Steve, you have anything you want to say about parking while this is going on?
Well, one of the things we can do is remind the public of where some of the free parking in Plymouth is. For example, all of Russell Street, which will be emptied out because the school will be on vacation, is all free parking south of Pleasant Street on one side, and that could accommodate a lot of vehicles as well. We could also open up the kiosk parking area and make that free parking for the day, and also suspend all other parking enforcement north of the project on Main Street for that period. So those are some things we could do right away.
Do you think the silver parking would be an option or not? PSU?
Okay, please. You could give us a little, are you going to have any big events going on the first week in June?
Off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to rattle off the list,
But that's a
we have,
possibility.
in the month of June, we have all of our new student orientations, so there's a big chunk of that is occupied.
What do you have, the orientations, what, the third, there's several dates, the 3rd,
There's 5 orientation sessions.
one's the 31st, and then I think the next one is the 7th.
Yeah,
So-
31st, 7th, 10th.
Yeah, this would fall in between. We probably wouldn't have a problem up there if we get the university to put up some signs.
Yeah, again, I don't know what the schedule is, but I'm sure if we talk about it, we can come up with a plan.
At the pre-construction meeting, we'll have somebody present from the university anyway.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you, Miriam.
Excuse me.
Al, you have anything you want to say?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to present an article to the board, if you don't mind, please. I think it's very important that you receive input from the local businesses.
I think it's something you want to present, give it to the town administrator.
I will, but I would like to have this read into the minutes if I could, please.
You can, we'll recognize you at the comment phase, not now.
Okay?
All right. Thank you,
And then the
Miriam.
final thing is just, we were given a contract by Pike Industries, so.
Yeah, we have a contract with Pike.
Yeah, but it needs to be signed,
It needs to be signed, we can vote to sign
signed, dated.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I believe this information I would like to present to the board, I think this should be presented to the board before the contract is signed. I think you owe it to the business owners on Main Street.
Well, you'll have an opportunity during the comment phase.
Okay, would you hold off on signing the contract then? Until that time period? Contract is a binding agreement. I urge the board to hold off until after the comment section.
We'll hear what you have to say, that comment.
So you're going to sign the contract before you hear from us?
I've just signed it. Maybe I could obliterate my signature if what you bring up is valid.
You, at a previous meeting, you had already agreed to that.
So we've agreed to it. Okay.
The problem is with this board is you have no communication with the business owners. You never get any input from
Mr.
us.
Dickerson, you're out of order. If you would wait until the comment phase, we'll give you your 3 or 4 minutes.
After the fact.
Pardon me?
After the fact.
After
Already
the fact.
signed. It's binding.
Well, we've got a contract with him. He's going to show up now with
More important Pike Industries than the town of Plymouth, obviously.
Well, the DOT has a big
And
hand.
the $328,000 that Main Street business is paying taxes to this town.
Okay. Again, you'll have your opportunity during the comment phase.
It doesn't matter whether you
It
sign
will
it.
make any difference?
What'd you say?
Because you've already had your vote, it doesn't matter if you sign it now or later.
That's right.
So you can sign it later.
All right. Let's see, we don't have land use permits. They can be reviewed downstairs after the meeting. These have already been signed by the building inspector and the board. Chairman's comments. Briefly, I'd like to discuss, we had a meeting, I guess about a week ago. It was the first meeting of the fire department committee, building committee, and we appointed Chief Coxton as chair, Tommy Morrison is vice chair. The task has been given to the chairman and the group to resolve the site issue, and that's something that we'll probably get done within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So other than that, well, we do have a visitor, Michael King. Is Michael King here?
I am.
Mr. King, come up.
I am here.
Michael King from North Country Council.
I'm here to, I try to come around to the communities who are members of the council from time to time just to review what North Country Council does and just offer you some information on, I do have a little handout here. And if you could share with him, I steal this one just so I can go through it. You know, Plymouth has been a long-term member of North Country Council, and we surely are glad of that. What I have in this packet is just some information in terms of our annual report, some information in terms of, there's a sheet that's, I think, kind of relevant. This one sheet here, it sort of it gives us committees that we have and Plymouth Select Board members and Planning Board members have been members of the committees in the past, and we hope you will continue to support those committees. The Transportation Committee this year will be, they will be having a TE round this year, so it's kind of important that we start thinking of transportation enhancement projects that maybe the town might want to participate. That has been something that the town has done before. There also the 10-year planning process is starting again this year, so there will be GASSET meetings. I always get the schedule wrong, but we are going to start the GASSET process and the 10-year process beginning this fall. We also are going to have some economic development meetings that we urge you to be on the Economic Development Committee, or citizens from the town to be on our Economic Development Committee. There is all sorts of confusion and in terms of funding for stimulus money and where that's coming from. I don't have all the answers for that, but there is different economic development projects that, you know, again, Plymouth has participated for, or citizens of the town has participated in before. North Country Council is as you know, we're the regional planning commission for the area, as well as we're a designated economic development district from the Department of Commerce, which allows us to get access to certain federal funding. So we have, and in this little book here, there's a number of different. I'm not going to go through the whole book, but it does list all the services that are available at North Country Council, from different planning services in terms of master plans, updates of hazardous mitigation plans, economic development services and grant writing and those kind of services that we offer. But it's a pretty extensive list of what we're doing for Plymouth and for the rest of the communities in our region. There's also a sheet in here which just simply, it's not the best copy, but it is a copy of our website. And if you know, most of demonstration of what we're doing, if you go onto the website page, it's there. It shows different projects and gives different dates of meetings that we're having. I believe we're having a water quality meeting. We have 4 quarterly meetings. We're having a water quality meeting on, it's at the end of May. It's being sponsored by DAS. We try to do a number of those kind of educational meetings for the planning board and trying to give, we participate in the law lectures and help the planning board know what legal ramifications there are for some of the things that they do. So it was just, I just come here and try to do this little spiel, and if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, or if there's anything we can do or any help that you need, we're surely only a phone call away. So,
Thank you.
okay.
Appreciate it.
And I'll give you your little Thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you. Other than the fire department committee that has been formed with Chief Coxon as the chair, we attended the fireman's ball, which was another event of note, and is probably going to be an annual affair that they use to raise funding for various projects and good causes. This year, the funding was, the money they raised was to go to assist an ex-Plymouth fireman who went to the fire department in New York City just before 9/11. And as a result of 9/11, he's now got lung cancer, and he's no longer being cared for under the city's health care program. So that was that's the type of causes these guys are working on, and we're going to do everything we can to help them. There are no purchase orders to approve. There are no new purchase orders, and there are none to be approved. Other business, the Pride of Plymouth. Valerie, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I have some preliminary information, but the Pride of Plymouth Award is an award that's been established by the Campus Community Council, given annually to a citizen or a group or organization who have made great contributions to enhance the quality of life in our community. I'm actually waiting for a little bit more detailed information on deadlines and requirements for nominations, but anyone can submit nominations for this award, and it can be, anyone in the town, town employees. If anyone has anyone in mind, we can start thinking about it, and I will have more details to follow.
Okay, thank you. MetroCast for Texas Hill, Mr. Freitas. Would you like to?
Just like to let the board know that after about 14 years, find a company to step forward and saying that they will run cable out for those 30 or so families out in the Texas Hill, Cummings Hill area, myself being one of them. But they need a letter from the Board of Selectmen.
They're going to run this this will be at no cost?
Right. This is what we've been asking Time Warner for 7 years now to do it. And then I'm going to have to pursue a letter from Time Warner to do the same, to give MetroCast permission to run us cable out that way. Right now, MetroCast, Time Warner wants to do it for $87,000.
So will Time Warner subsidize MetroCast doing it, or where does MetroCast make their money?
Through the families.
Cable company.
They're coming through the Bridgewater side.
Okay.
They're just going to add us on to the families that are in Bridgewater. Time Warner will not add us on to the families that are in Plymouth.
When do we start negotiations with
this year?
Time Warner?
This year.
And
I can't say that. This is probably a bid of MetroCast getting their foot in the door to bid on future cable service to Plymouth.
What was Time Warner's price the last time we got
$87,000.
$87,000. For what, 31 customers?
I thought it was 2010 committee gets together.
Yeah, but we have to start. Jamie knows that we have to. Jamie can speak on this. We have to start negotiating this year.
Okay.
Jamie here?
Yeah.
Jamie? You want to give us a...
What Paul was saying, basically the best time to start negotiating with a cable company to renew the franchise agreement is 3 years ahead of time. That's going to get you your best leverage with them. In the past, we've waited till the last minute to negotiate with them. In fact, last time around, I believe the franchise agreement had expired. So we were in a very bad negotiation position then. Generally speaking, as far as public access centers discussing it among themselves, the best time is to start 2 or 3 years in advance. So we do want to start thinking now about forming a committee to start discussing that.
When does our present contract expire?
2013. It was negotiated in 2000, but the way the franchise agreement was written, it wasn't effective until the selectmen signed it, and the selectmen didn't sign it until 2003.
Okay. So we're on the 3-year cycle.
Yeah. Okay. So technically, that franchise agreement has been in effect for 10 years, but because it wasn't signed until 2003, it's still got another 3 years to go.
And just another update on Time Warner Services. Even though I don't get it personally, I have to try to work through them and Jamie to get things done for the town, which they always promise they were going to do. Just in the last week and a half, especially with H1N1 virus, we tried to contact them to install some emergency lines for us up at the police department at no cost. They will not do that. We try to get cable up at the airport site at facilities, and we can upgrade our capability because we're now using a radios from 1944 up there. We can actually start using cable to communicate. Some of the pilots that are digital. We were denied that. I know that the past town administrator had to fight to get cable at the recycling center, and the highway department was the last one to get it 2 years ago, and that was a 3-year fight. We got our cable at the recycling center 2 years before the highway department. When they came to us in the beginning of their first contract, they said that they would supply a service to any and all the town entities. And that's been a battle ever since they did the initial setups. They left the recycling center out in the beginning because they said we didn't have a telephone pole. And we did have a telephone pole. We had electricity and telephone at the recycling center. And that took 2 years to get cable up there and 4 years to get cable down at the highway department.
We negotiated with Adelphia, right? And then when Time Warner became...
That's correct, yeah.
But it appears we now have a little bit of issues for...
Well, that's what happened. When Time Warner went to come over and take over Adelphia, we had a little leverage at that time that we were able to get the cable into the highway department. But it's only at moments that you have any kind of leverage that we're ever able to succeed at getting anything done. But this really has nothing to do with their contract. We've been trying to get cable up already for 14 years. It started out at $2,700. It's now up to $87,000. And still nothing's been settled. But MetroCast is willing to come in. MetroCast was going to come in, I believe, 3 years ago, Jamie, and then Time Warner stepped up to the plate and said, never mind, we'll do it. We backed off from MetroCast, and Time Warner didn't do it. So MetroCast was a little upset. I guess they've had a 3-year cooling off period, and they're making the offer again. It's no cost. It's no cost. Unlike the Time Warner franchise and everything, it's no cost to the town of Plymouth. The citizens will pay any extra franchise fees or anything. The town won't have an impact.
We might take a position with Time Warner that if it's done by the time the contract expires, we'll renew. Doesn't sound like they're too reliable on promises.
You know, honestly, I don't get Time Warner personally. I get all the emails and telephone calls from everybody in Plymouth that are having their problems, but usually I forward them all through Jamie.
Okay, thanks, Jamie. All right, public comment.
So if I could have permission, I'd like to put together a letter of support from the Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
For the Stevie families.
You want to make a motion to that, right?
Make a motion that we allow both parties, town administrator, to write a letter in regards to the Time Warner MetroCast situation.
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Do so.
And do understand if Time Warner says no, we still don't get it. So,
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I could forward a letter from the board to Time Warner expressing a desire for them to allow us to do so also.
But it sounds like we'll need to set up a committee soon too, a Time Warner negotiating committee.
Jim will be telling you, we've been trying to bring Time Warner to the table with this board for over a year now to get a person to physically come and sit before this board. It's been 14 months since we've tried, and they have yet to send anybody physically to the town of Plymouth to sit before you.
What if MetroCast was invited in to talk to us?
I haven't tried it.
We should do that. All right, public comment. Because there are a lot of people here, and I presume most of them have something to say, I'm going to limit the public comment to approximately 3 minutes. And you can speak on any subject. I won't accept petitions. If you have a petition and you want to speak to it, you've got 3 minutes, and then you can present it to the town administrator, and we would put it on the agenda for the next meeting. So who has comments?
Start off
Mr.
first.
Dickerson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to have this read into the minutes, and I will give the town administrator a copy of this. To the Honorable Board of Selectmen of Plymouth, New Hampshire. We, the undersigned Main Street businesses, owners, employees, and managers, believe the proposed road proposed road construction projects scheduled for Main Street would have a tremendous negative financial impact on the local economy and families. We urge the Board of Selectmen to work with the state of New Hampshire to have this project constructed during the evening hours. We believe this would have the least disruption to local businesses and to the community in general. Signed this first day of May, the year 2009. We'll present this to the administrator. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Are there other Main Street businesses that would like to comment?
It's all there, that's all you.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is James Dorr with University Computers and On-Site Computers. One of my businesses is going to be affected by this
Where's your business located?
project. Right on Main Street. Because of the parking situation that I think is going to occur, and I don't think you guys are doing Post Office Square on this road.
No.
Because of the parking situation that's going to occur, I think it's going to be a nightmare for all of us. Because if people don't have a place to park, they're not going to either come here or it's just going to be a mess downtown. We don't have a crystal ball. We can't see what's going to happen. But if half of a side of the street's taken up in the middle of the daytime, we could potentially have a disaster for everybody because people will be parking everywhere. And although it's nice that the town's going to let us park or let people park up on Pleasant Street and up on Russell Street, and the kiosk opening up was mentioned, in all honesty, I don't think people are going to use those spots to just go drop their computer off or go have a sandwich. Maybe they will, but I don't think they will. I think it's already been done, but maybe in future projects, maybe the town can come and ask businesses how these things would affect them. Because without the downtown businesses, you don't have a downtown. And it would be nice to have our input on these projects. And although we have the meetings, a lot of us don't know or are too busy because we're running our businesses. We're having hard economic times. And this is going to further impact us negatively. And I would also just like to say again, in the future, you know, we have a Main Street program, to come to us and say, what do you guys think this would do for you? Or how do you think this would negatively impact your business? That's not too much to ask. There's a lot of us here that are upset about this. It could be done in the evening. I know that we have the power to say, hey, let's talk about doing this at night. Let's get our quote for the night.
Well, you finished?
I'm finished.
I'm on the board of Main Street as a selectman's rep. We were told, first of all, the DOT is going to resurface Main Street one way or the other. When the governor announced that the state had stimulus money to increase road surfacing in the state from 250 miles, I believe, to 790 miles, we went to the DOT and asked them if they could do reclamation on South Main Street because as a piece of infrastructure, it is constantly in a serious state of repair from Anderson's all the way to Rite Aid. I also reported to the board when we knew exactly what was going to happen, that the state was going to reclaim from Anderson's to Rite Aid. It was a 3-day project, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. We followed those conversations by asking the state, number one, if they would do it at night, which they said absolutely not, and what the cost would be in the event. Now, we're talking $75,000 or $80,000 as opposed to $25,000, and I'm not too sure the taxpayers in this town are prepared to spend that additional money for something that's got to be done. And it's infrastructure. I mean, you're on the north side of, or on the west side of the common, aren't you?
I'm right next door to this building.
Okay.
One building over.
So realistically, you're not going to be affected other than a lot of parking, which
would affect
you usually get anyway. So I'm for one, I am not in favor of even attempting to do it at night because of the cost. And I'm frankly quite excited about the fact that they are willing to do what they're willing to do.
Absolutely, that's very exciting that they're going to chip in and we're not going to have to foot the whole cost. But the amount that a lot of these businesses collectively are going to lose over these up to 3 days or more is going to be a huge dollar amount.
We have other businesses here that aren't. Sue Messenger, you would like to comment?
I would. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Sue Messenger, and I actually own two businesses on Main Street. I own Main Street Dental and Sweet Kathy's. And while it is planning only to go from Anderson's down to Rite Aid, it does impact the rest of us. I will tell you, when we did the project on Main Street, I had patients calling me saying, I won't even come downtown. I don't care if they're not in front of your building. I'm not coming down. It's a nightmare. I can't get down there. I'm getting, you got traffic coming in both ways, but it's slow. I can't park. I'm not coming. I will tell you, those couple weeks that we had to deal with that, my stats went right down. And I mean, I still have to pay payroll, I still got to pay electric, but if I don't have the customers coming in or the patients coming in, I suffer. Sweet Kathy's will suffer tremendously. We're a new business, people are just finding us, we're in the height of the summer, that's when I have to make my money to survive for the rest of the year. If my customers can't park, or if it's a nightmare, they're not coming here, they have other choices. It's not just downtown. They can go anywhere else. I'm asking the board to reconsider this and really look at doing it at night. I'm under the impression that we talked to Ray Burton, and Ray Burton talked to the DOT, and the DOT said they would do whatever the town wanted. That's our last conversation.
I just respond to that because the DOT has said they will do whatever the town wants, but that the town has to pay the difference between what DOT would have to pay to do it during the day and what it would cost to have it done at night. And as Miriam said earlier, having it done at night would increase the cost by threefold, which is a significant burden to add to the taxpayers of the town. I mean, this is money that was not budgeted for in this fiscal year. It's money that the town is having to find to cover this cost. And I think that, we do have a responsibility to the businesses on Main Street, but we also have a responsibility to the rest of the people in Plymouth who are footing this bill. I think that's important. And I know, I've talked to people about, the increase in the cost. Just to do the parking spaces on either side of the state's portion of this project would have added $14,000 in asphalt costs, but that's not the full amount by which it would increase. I think that it's a very significant amount of money that...
Have we looked at what the increase will mean on each taxpayer versus it's going to increase it threefold? Does that threefold come out to it's going to increase my tax bill $100 over next year, or $500 or $10,000? I think if you're going to throw numbers out there, I think you need to put in perspective as those of us who pay taxes can kind of look at it and say, okay, it's only going to impact my tax bill $100 versus $10,000, and I think we need to look at it that way too, because all of us are all taxpayers here. I don't live in Plymouth, but I do own a building and I do pay taxes. And some of the businesses are borderline because of the economy and what is going on. And just this 3 days, which won't be 3 days. It never is 3 days. Might just put someone over the edge where they have to close.
Is there any business on Main Street that would like to comment other than the two we've heard from? Yes, sir.
I own Plymouth Selectboard. I was here in '97 when we did the project here. In 15 years of business, was my worst summer ever, 40% down in my sales. And we were having good economic times at that time. Now that I'm doing $60 to $300 a day, when open the door it cost me $1,000, I don't think 3 days of nobody there will help me very much. I don't understand why we don't learn the lessons of the past. We did a project in Main Street, big one, great, excellent, because they changed, the town changed a lot. But it really hurt me personally in my business, big time. It seemed that Well, it was 10 years ago. Nobody remembers. I remember. That, like James said, I'm for it for more infrastructure in the town, but not art when it affects me deeply. If it's any way, we have to do it, I know that. But if it's any way we can figure out how we can do it without the problem, it's all perception. What Sue says exactly. The people are not coming because it's the perception that it's going to be a mess. Actually, in '97, it wasn't a mess. There was some destruction, but it was fine. But the people told me, oh, there's no construction there. I'm not going there. That's what I said. And what some other people say here, we need to have more communication with the local select. I found out like 3 or 4 days ago about all this. And I have to pay my employees, I have to be open, and I don't know what's going to happen. And in this economic time that we are not making it, I might not go out of business, but I'm going to be hurt big time. Thank you.
Marion, what did DOT tell you when you asked them to do it, if they could do it at night?
Well, I mean, I have their email right here. Basically, it says, if Pike wants more money to do the work at night, I would suggest that it be worked into the town's pricing to cover both the town and DOT sections so that there's no cost to the state for night work and no billing to take place between DOT and town. So it's exactly what Val Scarborough said, that if we do it at night, we have to absorb those costs.
I only used 30 seconds. You know, we're all in favor of the project. Don't get me wrong in this. And I think the biggest problem is the lack of communication from this board and to the town, to local businesses. Littleton's going through a project up there. If you read in their local paper called The Courier, they have weekly meetings, they have communications with all the businesses every single week. And it feels like we're the redheaded stepchild here in Plymouth. It's not just this road construction project. We've had the roundabout project, we've had the bridge project, we've had Highland Street, and every time it snows in the winter, you might as well just forget about having business because the lousy job they do in snow removal. It affects business every single day here. And if we just have the communication from this board, all of us, I think I can speak on their behalf, would support the board on the project here. It's the only thing we're asking is communication, and this board has lacked it for years. Thank you.
Lady in the back, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Lori Vashon. I'm a resident of Plymouth, co-owner of Off the Hanger, and I also manage Plymouth Area Community Closet Thrift Shop and the Readery. So I'm representing 3 businesses here this evening. And I have one question in particular about the thrift store, which gives back to the local community. We have a lot of people coming in on a daily basis for vouchers, for needed clothing, and the money raised from there goes back to our local community through fuel assistance, food, Meals for Many, food pantry programs. So it's a critical program that we offer that people aren't coming to the town for assistance because it's happening through a local nonprofit organization. And with the construction happening there, I would like some kind of guarantee that the entrance to that store is both on the same side of the road. So it's very critical that at least one part entrance be open to get in and out of the thrift store. And is that going to be possible? Because that will be very detrimental to folks in need in our community, as well as that come in and need clothing, and the money that we make that goes back to people in financial assistance. So I would really like that. Do you know what I'm talking about? The entrance is both there. I really need one way to get in and one way to get out.
This is something we deal with the contractor at the time the job starts.
So
I'm not really sure what the details are.
If I could put in that critical request, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, she could come in and see me. Ms. Vashon, you come in and see me, and I'll have it set up that you're at the pre-construction meeting. We'll take care of your needs.
Thank you.
Mr. Moorhead.
I came all the way down here watching this on TV. And I would like you to know, as a resident who lives in town, like the other night during the spring fling, we never got to be able to go to bed until 2 o'clock in the morning because of the noise in town. Like the sun catchers in my windows were vibrating off the windows. And they run a dynaplane in here, this- the plane down the road, and nobody's sleeping in town. And I'm not, as a taxpayer, I don't want to pay the extra. I suggest that these business owners, if they want this done at night, they cough up the money out of their pockets, because they'll just charge it back to us anyway. And it's just not feasible to do it at night. The noise would be terrible, and nobody that lives in town would be able to sleep. I used to fuel a dynaplane. I know what they call, how much noise they make. Because when I was working for Wallace and Howard at 6 o'clock at night and at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was fueling one. And they burn around 275 gallons every 12 hours. And these things really make a lot of noise. And it's not just that, it's the truck that comes in behind it that they dump the stuff off on. You're constantly listening to it being dumped into a dump truck or something like that. It just, the noise would be deafening. And nobody in town would get to sleep at all. I had a talk with the president of the college about the noise because it was terrible that night. I even went down there to try to get it calmed down and was told there was nothing that could be done about it. And it would be terrible.
Your comments or anyone else? You have something? Yes.
Jeff Levesque, I own 8-Bit Computer on Main Street. Been in Plymouth 7 years in my business, and in that time I've noted a pattern of behavior where there's no communication between the Board of Selectmen and businesses in town. I agree with the other business operators, this would be devastating. I've made the decision that should this project take place during the daytime, I will close for the duration of the project. And I wanted to ask the board if any consideration has been made to the infrastructure underneath the streets that may potentially be damaged during this project, extending it beyond 3 days. We had a water main break on Highland Street over the winter. You know, I've seen other water mains break in the downtown area. We're talking about a significant amount of harmonic vibration when they start planing the asphalt. There's things under the street that nobody really knows are there. And if you start peeling 5 inches of asphalt, who knows what you're going to find? What kind of preparations have been made with Public Works Department stuff, Water Department to respond to those in a timely manner so that businesses that expected this to only take 3 days aren't dealing with a 2-week start to finish endeavor? You know, paving here last fall didn't go real well. And I heard some people say the street wasn't done until snow started flying.
Well, the Water Department has been brought in. They're doing what has to be done, and the Highway Department is also working on things like the storm drain covers, etc. I've had comments from other businesses that you would think be seriously impacted. The Community Guarantee Savings, I talked to their president. His attitude was, well, you know, it's got to be done. It's not all that bad because it's only 3 days. There's a couple other businesses that I won't mention because I'll be accused of pandering to my family, but I didn't get any serious objections from any of them. We have 2 big businesses on Main Street. Big businesses. Anyone else? Paula? Yes.
I didn't even have to raise my hand.
Right. I could see you were breathing hard.
I'm Paula Tromby from Main Street. And I want to reiterate what almost everybody has said here. And I had sent an email to Paul Freitas about a week ago or so, asking that you have a meeting with people. When someone goes to build something and you have an abutter, they're invited to a planning board meeting so they know the impact that's going to have on them. And I think that would have been a very wise thing to do. Because what happens in any case, no matter what is going on in any section of town, people start chattering. And then they actually have the wrong information, but no one knows that, so it gets bigger and bigger. So I think that would have that would have been, far more beneficial to people, so that they could have known what was going on beforehand. And then maybe would have been able to let their customers know ahead of time that this might happen if there was no other option available.
Paul?
Well, just for clarification, I responded, I'll speak to the chair. I responded to your email and had 2 selectmen go to the meeting the next day, 2 days later. And I also let you know, as soon as the DOT contacted us, that this is before we got into whether we were going to do our portion or not, that the DOT was coming through Plymouth one way or another, and that we would keep you informed and updated as we were updated.
My comments at the last Main Street Plymouth meeting were probably 3 or 4 days after we knew what the dates were. So communicating, I don't know what you're talking about, because we're communicating right now. There's a lot of people, including Mr. Moorhead, who decided to come down and speak his piece because he's watching it on TV. So, yes.
Actually, I never got that email call. Honestly, I never did.
All right, I did respond to it, say that 2 selectmen were coming to your meeting.
No, I never got anything,
Okay.
honestly. Maybe if you could just look to see if it bounced back or something.
Hi, I'm Sharon Thorne. I'm the owner of the Allstate Insurance Office on Main Street, and I'm also sort of empathetic with a lot of the business owners. A lot of these people, they survive on every single person that walks in and out of their door for their revenues. I mean, I'm fortunate enough I don't need that, and I think a bank is the same sort of service business that can rely. A lot of people do online banking, or telephones, and I work the same way. I do a lot of online work, telephones, and now I'm feeling, after what David Moorhead said, that I probably won't be able to hear anybody on the telephone with all this construction going on 20 feet outside of my door. So, even a service business like mine is still going to suffer from it. I definitely believe that the road needs to be paved. There's big potholes out there. There's little bits of tar that go flying on people's cars and on the sidewalk and ends up in my carpet. So that's, I'm totally for the project, but I just am a little disappointed that there wasn't more communication with the business owners, because I found out about the paving in the newspaper. And, and that was it. So, thank you.
I just have one question. Would the town be objective if we had a mass email for all Main Street businesses that you could forward it to us, what's going on, instead of a regular Main Street meeting? Because the Main Street Committee only meets once a month. That's really the board of directors. If we just had a email addresses for all the businesses. The chief does it. Just wondering if we could do it here.
Yeah, we'll get the chief's list. We'll give it to us.
Just want to remind you, we found out 4 or 5 weeks ago. I just don't want anybody to think that we knew about this for months. Yeah. And then every time we asked the question, they said that it was going to be a couple of weeks before they could get back to us with an answer. They didn't know where we were going to be put on the schedule.
I think this is an infrastructure project that's desperately needed. The DOT has indicated absolutely no interest in doing it at night. And if we want to do it at night, it's going to cost a lot of money, a lot more money than we didn't even have the $25,000 in the budget. So now you're talking 75 or 80, probably even more than that. And if you look at South Main Street, it's been neglected for a long time. And I think it's time that we bit the bullet and did it. There's restaurants on South Main Street. I haven't heard from any of them. There's a laundromat on South Main Street. There's a bank on South Main Street. There's Rite Aid on South Main Street, and we haven't heard from any of them. Yes?
Is it actually South Main Street, or is it Main Street?
It's South Main Street. That's the address, South Main Street.
Mr. Chair, request permission to ask a question of Paula Trombley from Main Street.
Do so.
Would it be possible between here and June to figure out, because there's a foot traffic issue that a lot of the businesses have expressed that they're going to lose foot traffic into their businesses, and if there's a parking issue, parking and movement of cars is going to be impacted. Is there a way to sort of support the foot traffic coming in and handle the parking? So I guess I defer to people who had the experience 10, 15 years ago. Is there any suggestions for keeping the foot traffic going, having paving happening during the day, supporting some situation for cars where you have as much foot traffic as possible, some kind of PR or you can't answer it now, I'm sure. But
well, I'm not at all an expert on foot traffic, but of course foot traffic comes mostly from, well, I shouldn't say mostly, but I'm guessing a lot of people drive to here and then they're on foot. So that's, you know, if the businesses would be best to be able to tell me, but they may not be able to tell me till after the fact and say, hey, you know, this amount of people didn't come in. So, you know, the comparison, I don't know if they would know ahead of time.
This is Messenger.
Could the town do a PR program that notifies people that, look, yes, this is going to happen, but these are the steps that we have taken so that it's not impacting your ability to go to any of the businesses downtown. We're going to have the two-way traffic. We're going to have parking available at wherever it's going to be. It's only going to be for these 3 days. We understand, you know, the economy is bad. We would hope that you would still come downtown to see these businesses, and we'll try to make it as pleasant of experience as possible. Is that something the town would be willing to do?
It's part of the...
We'll put it on our website.
Patty?
Well, it needs to be put on the website.
Hi, Patty Berman. Since you referenced the restaurants and the laundromat on South Main, I figured I should say something. I co-own the Lucky Dog, and I also co-own the laundromat on South Main Street. And the restaurant will not be affected because we're not open during the days, on the days that they're planning on doing the pavement, if they don't kind of stretch it on until the weekend. But if it does, it does. The laundromat will definitely be affected. Being able to get into the building, I mean, you can't walk down the street with bundles of dirty laundry. You have to be able to drive into that business to support that business. Same thing with propane and everything else. So, I mean, either way, it needs to be done. I know that I'm on the school board, and I know that we've made some serious cuts because of the economy and because of people can't afford a lot of the things that they had been affording before. I know as business owners, we've all taken hits. I mean, the economy is down, business is down for everybody. But there are townspeople that have lost their jobs. I mean, they can't afford to have threefold what it's costing now to pave. They can't afford to take that. We've cut so many things for the kids at the elementary school. I can't see a whole town, and you've got retired people having to take the hit of paving at night. And I know we're going to have to take the hit for those people. Our businesses are going to suffer because of that, for that 3 days, and we're going to have to do it. And another thing about Main Street, I know we said the communication between Main Street and South Main businesses. I know as a South Main business owner, I've never felt a part of Main Street. And I've heard it from a lot of business owners who own businesses down there. Everything kind of stops at Anderson's, and South Main Street isn't included. This is the one time that they're doing something for South Main businesses, and I appreciate it. And I know it's going to affect both of my businesses, and I'm willing to take the hit for that 1 day or 3 days in order to make the town better, because I don't know about you, but driving down that road in the wintertime was ridiculous. Like the cost on your cars alone, you know, take into consideration that price too. So I know it's going to cost, but we need to do it.
Thank you. Yes, Bill?
Question for the board. There are serious surface drainage issues on South Main Street, from Community Guarantee Savings Bank all the way down to Warren Avenue. The 3-day work scope that you have addressed in terms of planing and repaving is one thing. But DOT, I hope, is going to come in and make corrections to those drainage situations that I'm alluding to before they get started on the planing and paving, because that's going to be a couple of day effort, probably at best, to correct.
Well, the water department and what would you like?
DOT will not do anything outside the scope of their 24 feet.
This is within their roadway, and they're aware of the problem.
They're saying they're going to take care of any drainage issues within the 24 feet.
The water department and the highway department have already been brought up to speed, and they're prepared to get a lot of work done. There's a problem right in front of Chase Street, at the top of Chase Street. And that's, we think there's either a storm sewer leak or a water main leak that's making that thing sag. And they're going to, that's something we want them to get to before we come in and do any work, so that we don't have to dig it up again.
Again, to put in perspective what I've said with a little more detail, since it appears to be necessary, District 3 has $600,000 of betterment money in their budget every year to make improvements to existing infrastructure. They've had in their work plan the intent of correcting these conditions that I've spoken to down in this area. And they're very much aware of those problems. And I am only asking the question to ensure that it's being coordinated through District 3, that those corrections be made to the grades before they lay down a final paving surface that is less than satisfactory, as we experienced down on Merrill Street.
That's one of the reasons why doing from curb to curb as part of this exercise will clean up a lot of that stuff. A lot of it's just plain drainage, and then the cracks between the cold seal between the curb and the sidewalk. I mean, you get out in front of Muncie's and the laundromat, and there's enough water drainage that sits there for weeks. You can't hardly get out because of the potholes. But, so, anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I can respond to Mr. Wu.
Mr. Wu.
Bill, we've been expressing our concerns on some of the drainage that needs to be. The caveat that they gave us was they didn't want this from turning into from 3 weeks to 4 weeks.
It shouldn't. There's no reason why it shouldn't.
That's why they're saying that they can take care of most of it within the 24 feet.
I mean, if this thing is done the way we hope it's going to be done, because we've got everybody that has anything to do with it involved, we should clear up most of these problems, including this mystery sinkhole we have on Chase Street, which I think will be worked on in the next week or so.
One last comment. I'd like to suggest that the Conservation Committee might work with the Main Street to sort of do a green PR movement around encouraging people to put their cars in Green Street parking lot and walking. I'm not sure what that would look like, but it sounds like in short order we need.
It's a conservation group in Main Street?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Would the town be willing to have free parking for the duration of construction?
I think that's probably already in the works. Steve, can you talk to that?
Yeah, I think we would suspend parking enforcement operations during that period and just encourage people to use areas that are already free parking. And we would designate the kiosk as a free parking area as well.
How about the meters in town, I think is what the question is. You're saying suspend the meters for the...
Suspend all parking enforcement for the day, so that would include everything. The only exception to that, and I have to be pretty rigid on this, is there are some certain life safety issues that I just can't overlook. I can't overlook cars being parked in front of a fire hydrant. You can't overlook cars parked too close to intersections, because those are safety issues for everybody. But I can suspend all parking enforcement, parking meters, no parking zones, areas that are designated resident only. All those areas can be overlooked for the day or through the duration of this project.
Chief, what about deliveries? Delivery trucks?
You want to address that? Yeah. The short answer to delivery trucks is I don't know, and I don't know the answer to that question until I actually speak with the project manager to see what the profile of the construction project is going to be. I can say that we'll do the best we can to work with deliveries on a case-by-case basis, and that's going to mean Pike Industries obviously are going to have their people directing traffic. We're going to put our people down there, our parking enforcement people who kind of understand the needs, the flavor of who needs to get in and what times. So we'll do the best we can to accommodate those needs on a case-by-case basis.
Yes. Excuse me, I got to call him back first.
Just to address the parking thing, since we all know there's barely any parking in Plymouth as it is, and it's nice to be, allowed the free parking and to open up the Green Street kiosk, but that's going to fill up instantly. What about approaching the university to get permission to use the Silver Center parking? That there's a lot of space there. It's after the year is over for the students, so for that 3-day period.
I got 5 orientations in the month of June.
There's the answer.
Not necessarily.
Chief, will the hoods on the parking meters, how will it be designated that they're not?
We don't have hoods that say free parking. We can advertise that we're not enforcing the parking. We can have our parking enforcement people stand down for the day. So there's a couple of things we could do. We could make some makeshift free parking signs, but we'll do something.
Plastic bags over the meters.
We'll do something, yeah.
Can I ask the lady from the Lucky Dog what
I just have one comment. I know that parking on Main Street is horrible during the school year, but the kids are going to be gone, and when the kids are gone and in the summertime, parking is not that hard to find downtown.
But I want to ask Patty, how do you deal with deliveries?
Well, I mean, they pull right up to the front door, but we also have the option of going down by the subway road, and I mean, I can work with the deliveries.
Sue?
Could we have 1 or 2 merchants attend the pre-construction meeting so that anything that is decided, at least we have someone on board that can disseminate the information to the rest of the merchants as far as handling deliveries and things like that?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Have you got a date for that meeting?
Two representatives.
I do want to add that myself personally, I have put those days aside. I will be out on Main Street with a representative from DOT, a supervisor from Pike Industry. I'll have my cell phone. All the business owners will have my cell phone. We'll try to coordinate and help with any deliveries and any other traffic problems that may come up at that time. And I'll do the best that I can to try to make this as painless as possible.
Mr. Chair, do you want to take the 2 business representatives now? Take the names.
You want to take who?
Identify the 2 business representatives who want to be at the pre-construction meeting.
If it's not a meeting, anybody should come.
Anybody can come.
Everybody should come.
Yeah, it'll be a...
This is what I was talking about, lack of communication. If you open it up to everybody, nobody's got to go around.
It'll be right here at Town Hall.
All right. Are there any other comments?
They haven't let us know yet.
Mr. Keefe,
At the
been
risk
silent
of
for all
creating
this.
monsters here, part of the problem is I guess we don't really know the days, and you won't really know the days until the day of. But that said, following up on something Chief Temporino said, that if you know there are stretches where the parking will be fairly obvious, and you reasonably priced contracted with some kind of a trolley, and or if it fell not during orientation, you might even be able to work something out with the university to rent our shuttles. And you just said, if you park on this strip, there will be a shuttle that will take you from X to Y, so that you could feel comfortable. The trolley has to be well thought out, has to be safe, and it can't allow whatever the trolley/shuttle is to get trapped in lots of backed up traffic. So how you design it, but it may be something that could be constructed to give people, again, that positive sense that something has been done to make this as reasonable as possible, get you within reasonable walking distance, because nothing is that far away if you can, as long as the sidewalks are available and you can get within a reasonable distance.
Well, one of the things, we talked to DOT about certain dates that were really not that good idea. In a motorcycle week, I think there's NASCAR and also 4th of July. And they've accommodated us. As I say, it's the first 3 days of June, assuming the weather doesn't delay them getting here with other projects. But if I were to pick 3 of the best days of the summer not to have an adverse effect on business, the first 3 days of June would probably be it, because the kids are gone, and it's before the tourist season starts. And as I say, this is a project that's got to be done. There's no question in my mind. Anyone else? Thank you. We don't have a non-public session, do we? I guess we're set to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn. Second.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just make the announcement that there is no non-public.
Yes, I did. You just didn't hear. I can't hear what I got my damn hearing.
There is no non-public session.
There is no non-public session.
Motion to adjourn.
The motion's been made and seconded. Adjourn. Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay.